Hello everyone, my name is Sabrina and welcome to my channel. Today we will learn how to make this blanket, and I decided to call it the Cobblestones Blanket because it kind of reminds me of cobblestone. Do you not think it does remind me of cobblestone on the street? So I will show you a little bit more in detail how this blanket looks. It is completely 3D and completely reversible. So let's take a look at the stitch a little bit closer. As you can see, it is so nice and thick because it is 3D, and I just love that. So there is no right or wrong side on this one because it's totally reversible. So this is side whichever you want. For me, this is just side A, let's say, and let's put it to side B, and here we are. It is completely the same, and I just really love it, you guys. It's so easy and quick to make, and what I like about it is that once you've done your setup row, after that it is a 1 row repeat, so it's always the same thing. And I don't think you need to add a border because I will show you the edge here. It looks completely fine, completely straight, and actually I think it looks like a nice border. So I mean, it is up to you if you want to add a border, but personally I think it looks just as it is. It looks good. And here's the bottom of the blanket. So of course, whichever side you want it to be, here we are. And I just really love it. It's so squishy. It's just really lovely. I hope you will enjoy it too. So I will pause now and I will discuss materials. So to achieve this blanket that I have made, I have used some DK. Just any regular DK. I will be using this today, and normally with a DK you would be using a 4mm crochet hook or a G for the US, but I'm going to use a bigger crochet hook, so I'm going to use a 5mm crochet hook. There we are. And in the USA, a 5mm crochet hook is a H, but you could use absolutely any yarn. So if you were to use Aran weight, which in America that would be a number 4 yarn, 4 medium weight. Normally for that, with that yarn you would use a I crochet hook. Well, I would recommend you use a J crochet hook, or why not even a K. To be able to achieve this look, you will need a bigger crochet hook than is normally recommended. There we are. And you will need a couple of stitch markers. That is completely optional. I will, of course, explain why as we go along. A few pattern notes. As I have mentioned before, this blanket is very easy and quick to make. We will learn how to do the setup row, and once we've done a setup row, we will learn the 1 row repeat. So the a multiple of stitches for this blanket is simply, you don't have one, you just make an odd number of stitches that you want until the blanket, the chain is long enough to make the width of the blanket, and then you do a +1. So in my case, my blanket is 25 inches wide, and I have made 75 stitches +1. So I've done 76 chains. So we will start with that in a second. We are now ready to begin. Okay, so I will not be doing a full blanket with you. I will be doing a swatch. But as I mentioned previously, to do my 25-inch wide blanket, I did 76 chains. So I am going to do 12 chains. There goes my phone, you guys. Isn't that typical? Every time that I start to do a tutorial, doesn't that happen? Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? Excuse me 1 second, because I am going to put my phone on silent. There we go. It's on silent mode. Nobody's gonna bother us now, right? Unless the postman comes here. So, you will do your slip knot as however you wish. Perhaps I should show you how I do mine. So, I wrap the yarn around this finger, just like so, with the end tail on this side, the working yarn on this side, on the right side, and I wrap the working yarn around my finger just like so. And then I put the hook through this loop. Try and put it a little bit closer. Here. I put my hook through this loop, like so, and then I catch the yarn with the hook right there, like so, and I pull it through. And then I let go of the ring that was created there, and then you just pull the yarn to shut the knot. So it's a slip knot, but it's got to slip, so don't make it too tight, because it's quite important to have a nice slip knot that goes on the hook just like so. It can travel easily on the hook, so try to not make it too tight, otherwise it will be really difficult to get into it at the end. So as it is, just like so. And this one never counts as a chain. So I am going to start my chain. I'm going to make 12 chains, but you could make 76 chains or however many chains you need for the width of your blanket. So to do a chain, we're going to yarn over, wrap the yarn around the hook just like so, and pull through. Don't do it too tight, because you want this to be nice so you can go straight into it after, otherwise it could be really too tight and you won't be able to get in. So you want it nice and a nice size hole, just like so. Don't know if you can see. There we are. So I'm gonna do another couple. So here's 1, 2, yarn over the hook and pull through. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so now we're going to start with this setup row. So we never count that one, as I mentioned just now. We never count that as a chain or a stitch. We're going to skip the first chain that is right next to it, and into the next one we're going to do a single crochet. I'm going to insert the hook into this chain, wrap the yarn around the hook, pull through. We have 2 loops on the hook. So now you're going to yarn over and pull through 2. And now we have our first single crochet. Now I find that even as an expert crocheter, I always use this trick, but I think it's ideal for beginners. So before I go any further, I'm going to put in a stitch marker in that stitch. Here we are. And I do that when I do single crochet rows, or when a row begins and ends with a single crochet, because sometimes what happens is you either miss the last stitch or you create an extra stitch because you might go into the chain instead of the stitch. So that way I know exactly where I'm going without even thinking about it. Here's the first stitch, and I will do that on the very last stitch. So now that we've done our single crochet, into the next chain we are going to do a little cluster of 2 double crochet together. So we're going to start into the next chain. We're going to yarn over the hook, insert into this next chain, and yarn over and pull through. We now have 3 loops on the hook. So we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 and leave that as it is, and into the same space, into that hole there, into the same space as we did that partial double crochet, we're going to do the same thing. So yarn over the hook and insert the crochet hook into the space, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. We now have 3 loops on the hook. So we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops to close that little cluster. Into the next chain we're going to do a single crochet, just like so, and into the next chain we're going to do another 2 double crochet together. So here's 1 and 2, and yarn over the hook and pull through all 3 to close that cluster. Into the next chain we're going to do a single crochet. Into the next chain we're going to do another cluster of 2 double crochet together, just like so. Into the next chain we're going to do a single crochet, and into this next chain a double crochet 2 together, cluster. I hope you can follow this with me, guys. I need some yarn. Into the next stitch or chain it's going to be a single crochet. Now we've got 2 chains left, so you might want to pause your video now and complete this row until you have 2 chains left. Once you've got 2 chains left, all you have to do is another cluster into this next chain, just like so, and into the last chain you're going to do a single crochet. And as I mentioned before, for myself, I do like to do that even as an expert crocheter. I will put in the stitch marker in this last stitch. Trust me, it really does help. Now that we have completed our setup row, we are ready to do the first row and the 1 row repeat. So we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Chain 1, turn our work. Now, sometimes as a beginner, if you don't have the stitch marker right here, some people tend to go through that hole here, but that's our chain. You do not want to do that, and that is why sometimes it's useful to put the stitch marker there, because now it's there, you know exactly where to go. So in that stitch, you're going to do a single crochet. Remove the stitch marker and do a single crochet and put the stitch marker back. And of course, this is completely optional. If you know exactly what you're doing, you don't need to do that. This is just a personal preference. Okay, so into the next stitch, you can see it is the top of the cluster that we made previously. There we are, into that stitch there. We're going to do a cluster. So it is 2 double crochet together into that same spot. So there we go. 1 and 2. And we're gonna yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook to close the cluster. And into the next stitch, we're going to do a single crochet. And into the next stitch, we're going to do a cluster. And into the next stitch, a single crochet. Into the next one, we're going to do a cluster. And into the next stitch, we're going to do a single crochet. So you're going to carry on until you finish your row. It is really enjoyable and really quick to make. And when you get to 2 stitches before the end, all you have to do is a cluster. I missed one of the loops. So you do a cluster, just like so, and into the last stitch you do a single crochet. I will put the stitch marker back. Not everyone needs to do that, but I think it's really helpful. Then you turn your work, but before you do that you chain one and turn your work. And this is how it looks so far. This is the other side. You see, these things are popping out, right? So, and then you just carry on. You just basically do the same. Into this first stitch here, you're going to do a single crochet. Put the stitch marker back if that's what you want to do. And into the next stitch on top of the cluster, you're going to do another cluster. Just like so. And into the next stitch, you're going to do a single crochet in the single crochet. So wherever there's a cluster, you make a cluster, and wherever there's a single crochet, you make a single crochet. And every row is the same thing. So it's such an easy one to make, and it grows very fast. And as you work with it, the texture is so lovely. I am a very tactile person, and I really enjoy working with lovely textured things, very soft materials. So I'm at the end of the row now, and I will do the single crochet. And there we are. And this is how the work looks. Just like here. And you could do that with multicolored yarn. You could use different colors, do a few rows in a certain color, and then change to do another few rows in a different color, and so on, or just one solid color. This is all up to you. Just use your creativity flow and go with it. And that's basically it, you guys. You just have to repeat that one row repeat until your blanket is long enough. Mine is nowhere near big enough. I've only done, the length of it is about 24 inches, and I have not counted the rows. I will be right back and I will tell you how many rows I've made. So I've counted the rows, and I think my blanket is about 25 inches long, not 24. And I have done, including the setup row, I have done 73 rows. So I think I might do an extra 12 rows, and that'll be it. That'll be big enough for a pram blanket or a little crib blanket. But of course, it is up to you how much you want to use. For this particular size that I've done, I've used 200 grams of DK. And I think I'll only need just a little bit more, maybe a third of one bowl. But it depends which weight you're using and what size blanket you're making. Just depends how much you will need. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and please click the like button. If you haven't done so already, click on the subscribe button, and also next to that button there's a little bell, and that will notify you when I publish new videos. And I would love to read your comments, questions, suggestions, requests, and anything else, or you could tell me what you think of this tutorial. Will you be making a blanket with it, or a shawl, or anything? I'm very interested to find out, you guys. So please, I am hoping to hear from you very soon. Thank you very much for watching, and until the next time, happy knitting and crochet!